Please, please don't. How many times do I have to tell you? The hostage doesn't get to choose what the culprit will do to them. Let her go. Let her go? Let her go? Let me think about that. No. You'll be surrounded in seconds. You don't want to do this. Oh, I'm so scared. When you put it that way, maybe I should enjoy the thrill before I get caught. No. Officer, you come any closer and I'll do it. I'll cut her up into little small pieces. And you know what? I'll send all of you officers a piece for Christmas. What a wonderful gift. Stop. I'm putting the gun down. Just don't do anything to her. How easy it is to control good guys like you. You all have so many boundaries, whereas I have none. Run! What are you going to do to me? What are you going to do to me? Lock me up forever? You'll never find where I hit them. You'll never find them. Sir, you should have waited for reinforcements. He was dangerous, mentally unstable. You could have lost your life. If I waited for reinforcements, she wouldn't be alive. But I wish I had your rabbit foot. Then I wouldn't have been getting this bandage. This? You know what? You can have it. By the way, is this real? Yes, sir, it is. Now that this case is over, you'll finally be able to rest. How many nights has it been that you haven't slept? Maybe spend the holiday with the family? Maybe. Happy winter solstice. Solstice? It's Christmas, Richard. Merry Christmas. Officer Declan finally solved the case of the holiday killer. Tracking down each and every clue, he found his way to his hideout. Far into the outskirts of Fargo, into the woods of Cheyenne Forest in North Dakota. Finally, that this long chase had come to an end, all Officer Declan wished to do was rest relieved. He sighed as he focused on the snowy roads ahead, when he suddenly spotted a young woman. What is she doing here at this time? And in this weather? There aren't any homes or stores around here for miles. Is she lost? Officer Declan slowed down the car as he neared the young woman and rolled down his window. Hello, miss. Is everything all right? The young woman turned and looked at him. I'm looking for my destination. Is there somewhere I can drop you off? Can you? You can trust me. I'm a police officer. Officer Declan took out his ID and showed the young woman. Seeing it, she walked around and got into the car. Not all police officers can be trusted, Officer Declan. Which way? Take Route 18. There? Officer Declan was confused hearing the young woman. There was literally nothing along Route 18. Yes, I live there. Officer Declan started the car again, driving deeper into the woods. He was not too familiar with these forests, but he was sure these areas were very remote. In fact, he had never seen any houses for miles here. Do you live out here alone or with your family? My family and I used to live in town, but now this is my home. They don't know I'm here. Out here, all alone. Sometimes solitude is what a person needs. Officer Declan and the young woman drove along quietly for some time, until she finally spoke up. Officer, do you believe in powers? Powers? What powers? Like supernatural powers? Yes, like telepathy, mind reading, or telekinesis. If I had those, I wouldn't have had to spend sleepless nights solving my cases. But there are some in my department who believe in superstition. Maybe they have witnessed something which led them to believe. Could be. Officer Declan drove into a narrow path. If not for the car headlights, the route would have been absolutely dark. He wondered how this young woman lived out here, all alone. She was quite strange. It was a long, quiet drive before the young woman finally pointed out a large maple tree. We're here. I live by that tree. Officer Declan halted the car and looked around. They were literally in the middle of the woods. Where have we come to? There's nothing here. This is my home. Happy winter solstice, Officer Declan. What? Before Officer Declan could understand anything, the young woman suddenly immersed into fog and vanished. Startled, Officer Declan hurried out the car. What just happened? Was he hallucinating through the sleep deprivation? Or was this real? Did he not just drive this young woman here? Officer Declan looked into the empty car bewildered. Or was this a dream? He didn't know where he was. He turned and looked at the tree the young woman had pointed at. With his flashlight, he started walking in that direction. Was there anything here? As he neared the tree, he suddenly noticed something strange. Near its roots, there was a patch of soil uncovered by the snow. From there, some greenery had been growing. Officer Declan moved the snow and began to dig. How can this be? Shocked by what he saw, Officer Declan immediately returned to the car and swerved around the other way. He contacted back to base. John, where is Officer Richard? We brought the evidence back to the precinct, and then he returned home. It was around 3 a.m. when Officer Richard woke up to a loud knock on his door. It was snowing heavily out, and it was tremendously cold. Who was here? Richard opened the door, confused when he saw Officer Declan. Officer, you're here? Come in. Is everything all right? Officer Declan stepped inside and silently looked at Richard. Let me get the fireplace going. Take a seat, officer. He watched as Richard threw a match into the logs and turned to look at him. Officer Declan took a seat and finally took out Richard's keychain and placed it onto the table. I won't be needing this anymore. Sir, you came to my house this late at night, in this weather, to return this? After such a difficult day, I thought you would be having your deepest sleep. After a moment of silence, Officer Declan asked, Have you always believed in the supernatural? No. About a year ago, one night I was on duty patrolling, and I noticed some men were trying to take advantage of an intoxicated young woman. I immediately went to see the matter. What's going on here? When I went to save her, they shot at me, and I shot back, and in the hustle, the young woman got hit and lost her life. Her death kept haunting me since then. I can't forgive myself for not being able to save her that night. I see her in my dreams. So I started keeping this good luck charm. Yes, I know about that case. Officer Declan shuffled his pocket and took out a locket. But does this remind you of anything? Seeing it, at once Richard fell into shock. A look of anxiety flushed his face as he sat completely speechless. Why did you do it? It was nearly a year ago. Last winter, Richard had gone to a Christmas party with some of his friends. Everyone was having a good time, enjoying themselves. Richard had even met a few new friends himself. But that night, everyone's attention seemed to be on one girl. Her name was Grace, and she was different. Grace was a college student. But word was, she had a strange ability. She could read people's hands and their thoughts. It was like she had something supernatural about her, like she had psychic power. Richard watched as everyone huddled around her, as one of the guys kept teasing her. Alright, if you can tell me something about me that only I can know, then I'll believe you have powers. You don't have to believe I have powers. It's not that I don't believe. I know you don't have powers. You do all this for attention. Alright, fine. Give me your hand. But let me warn you. Are you sure you want others to know what only you know? Give it your best. Grace closed her eyes as she held her hand on top of his. You were recently invited to a dinner party. Yeah, so what? It's holiday season. And you had a bit too much to drink and got an upset stomach. Can happen to anyone. You went to the toilet and you clogged it. The look on the young man's face suddenly started to get a little uncomfortable as he pulled his hand away. But Grace opened her eyes and smiled. Not from an upset stomach, but because your retainer got stuck when you vomited. Now, do you want people to know if you pulled that one out of the toilet, or if you got them replaced? The young man widened his eyes and looked around. What? You wear a retainer? Your teeth aren't real? Oh man, I didn't even realize. Dude, did you really take it out of the toilet and put it back in your mouth? Suddenly, the joke was on him as everyone started laughing. Others started crowding around Grace to get their palms read, and in humor, Richard also joined them and sat beside her. Try me. Ooh, an officer. The crowd cheered as they listened in. Grace smiled as she focused on Richard and closed her eyes. But all of a sudden, there was a look of distress on her face. She opened her eyes, sweating as she looked at him. Excuse me. Richard watched as Grace got up and hurried out of the crowd. Why did she look so frightened? That night, Richard kept an eye on her and noticed she left the party soon after, without telling anyone anything. Grace was relieved when she reached home. She just wanted to forget what happened. However, 2 nights later, while she was returning home, she fell into the way of what she feared to face. You? Suspicious of what happened, Richard had been stalking Grace, and on the right opportunity, got hold of her. What did you see that night? Officer, please help me. Some goons are after me. Get in the car. That night, when Richard was patrolling, a helpless young woman asked him for help. Richard took her along. But things did not go as expected. Richard drove her to seclusion, where he tried to take advantage of her and violated her. The young woman, however, resisted him. How dare you? I'll report you. I know your badge number. You're not gonna get away with this. You won't be doing anything. That night, Richard took her life and threw her body in an alley and reported the crime himself, setting up the entire scene as if she had been killed by goons, and he had been her savior. Please don't do anything to me. I won't tell anybody. Of course you won't tell. When Richard became confirmed that Grace knew his secret, he couldn't risk being exposed and took her life as well. He drove her far out into the Cheyenne forest, where rarely did people go, and buried her. But ever since that night, he was tormented by horrible dreams. He saw her every night. Richard soon became superstitious. He went to various people to find a solution to what was happening to him, and many people gave him many things. But nothing worked to relieve him of his deed. But now, sitting in front of Officer Declan, he knew his game was over. Richard stealthily inched his hand towards his table, where he kept a gun. But at once, Officer Declan took out his. Don't even think about it. I've found her body, and in her post-mortem, all your information will be revealed. If I blow your brains out right now in self-defense, I won't be held accountable. Richard broke down as he pleaded. Trust me, Officer Declan, I haven't slept a sound sleep since that night. Don't worry, you'll sleep a lot better in prison. Last night, the body of a young woman named Grace Reed, who had gone missing nearly a year ago, had been found on Route 18 near the Cheyenne forest. Her culprit, a police officer, Richard Cole, had been arrested. However, what bewildered the police department and the rest of the world is that the young woman's body had not decayed even a year after her death. Rest in peace, Grace. Click on the subscribe button and check out more awesome videos on our channel. And don't forget to press the bell icon because you know it's interesting.